Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, September 29th. So today, the moon is in Cancer all day. There are 8 different aspects taking place in the cosmos today, and 6 of them involve the moon. As you know, the moon in Cancer is when she is in her prime, when she's in her place of power, when she's in her comfort zone. And it also means that our emotions are hypersensitive, that we are very, very stimulated, especially thinking about the past. Now, we have Mercury just fresh into a retrograde, pulling our attention to the past for us to review, for us to reanalyze, for us to reevaluate. And because the moon, which is our emotions, which is our subconscious self, which is our intuition, is in her place of power in Cancer, we are very connected and overly attached to our memories, to past situations, especially reflecting back on how the home and the family dynamic has changed. We just had our last quarter moon release in this Cancerian energy, and hopefully today we are going to be dealing with a fresh perspective. Although it's not going to get too futuristic, we are going to have to really kind of re-strategize a couple of things before the universe is going to support us in moving forward. So the moon goes ahead and bumps into Jupiter. And of course, Jupiter wants us to grow, wants us to expand our minds, wants us to see opportunities, wants us to renew our faith, our confidence in the path moving forward. However, this isn't the best interaction between these two. And because of that, Jupiter kind of overwhelms us, really turns the volume up. And because the moon is involved, this means that we're going to be feeling a whole lot of extra feels. We are typically going to be focused on our expectations, and our expectations as of right now are a little bit too big, a little bit too grand, and kind of setting us up for future disappointment. We do have an overwhelming desire to reach for the stars, to dream a big dream. But again, sometimes we dream a dream that isn't realistic. And that, of course, that can set us up for future disappointments. Now, the moon is going to square Mars, and Mars, of course, is in Libra, trying to kind of charm his way through the intellect, really trying to see where it is that peace and love and harmony can be achieved, but where it is that we actually have to take action and balance the scales, really kind of speaking up and speaking out to advocate for what it is that we want, need, and desire in order for us to actually see something change. The moon bumping into Mars right now, though, is just kind of illuminating, especially where Jupiter turned the volume up on our feels, is kind of illuminating where it is that we're uncertain, where it is that we're very undecided. Again, Libran energy is always on the fence. We can see both sides of the coin. We want to make sure that we are making the best grounded, balanced decision, but a lot of this puts a lot of uncertainty on what it is that we're currently dealing with. Because Mars wants to take action, because we are kind of overwhelmed with doubts and insecurities right now, we're not sure what it is that we even want, what it is we even need, what it is that we need to do to bust free from the past in order to create a different reality for our future. We're almost in a state of emotional paralysis. We are definitely in a state of inaction because of our mental confusion and because of our emotional confusion. So things aren't going to get that much better when the moon actually goes ahead and squares Chiron. Chiron, of course, is the wounded healer. He is retrograde in Aries, trying to strip us down, show us where our ego wounds are alive and well, and where we've created a false identity for ourselves, where it is we haven't been standing in our authentic truth. This is likely going to bring up the shadow parts of all the negative emotions, all the negative thoughts. Again, we're hypersensitive because the moon is in Cancer. We have the want, need, and desire to nurture ourselves, nurture the ones that we love. We want to kind of adopt that Cancer in energy, that moon in Cancer energy, which is the mother of the zodiac. We want to take care. We want to provide safety. We want to provide security for ourselves, but for everyone else as well. And because, Jupiter kind of turned up the volume on our feels, we might be feeling that we don't have what it takes to provide ourselves with the safety and security that we need emotionally, mentally, in our physical realms. And then when we start thinking about how we're unable to provide these things for ourselves, then we start to question how it is that we could provide any of these things for anyone else. This really puts us in a difficult position because, of course, we are looking to purge these lower vibrational frequencies that are weighting us down, keeping us attached to old patterns, old behaviors, old ideologies, especially when it comes to providing for ourselves. Protecting ourselves, protecting the ones that we love. Now, Venus, who is in Scorpio, again, very intense, passionate type of energy. We're very overwhelmed with all of the wants, needs, and desires that are coming up. The insecurities, the jealousy issues, the possessiveness, the want, need, and desire to want a soul connection, to want that intimate level partnership that many of us just do not have at this point in time. Now, Venus, she's all about self-worth as well. And the Scorpio energy, being the great alchemist of the zodiac, needs to dive into the darkness in order to see where it is that we can turn that darkness into light, where it is that we can turn our past pain into a source of power. And Venus, being in Scorpio, trines Neptune. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, in Neptune's place of power. We have water on water happening here, which means that things are deeply emotional, especially with the moon in Cancer, especially with Jupiter turning the volume up on our overwhelming insecurities, fears, and doubts. And right now, this is the most magical aspect that we actually have working for us, because Venus is the lower level intellect of Neptune. Neptune is where we are connected to the cosmos, where we are connected to the spiritual realm, the higher level intelligence. Venus brings those divinely scripted messages in through our crown, into our intuition, and Venus acts in our physical realms to make those things happen. Typically speaking, when Venus and Neptune get together, this is a very magical time to actually bring some of the dreams and some of the visions to life. This is a time where romance can definitely spark up because we're recognizing these deep-seated desires that we're having with Venus being in Scorpio waters. This is a magical time for connection to either existing people that we haven't felt on the same page with, or with new people entering into our realms. It really is designed for us to bring a little bit of magic back into the physical realm that we most of the time base off of logic and practicality. So this is a very positive energy happening about, I'm going to say, early afternoon-ish, that is going to kind of squash the earlier energies of feeling vulnerable and feeling insecure and kind of caught up in the negative Nancy narrative. This brings the magic back. This brings the power back. This brings our imagination, our intuition back into play. This kind of boosts us up energetically and spiritually speaking from a very low place that we actually started the day off in. We get even more of a pep talk and a pat on the back to kind of shift our energy out of the funk when the moon in Cancer sextiles Uranus. Now, Uranus is the great awakener. He is retrograde in Tauran energy. Tauran energy, of course, focusing on our earthly relationships, our earthly resources, our value system, our worth, our finances, and our plans for the future. But this Uranian energy is shaking things up. It's disrupting all of those beautiful systems and structures in order for us to see with a fresh set of eyes whether or not we are truly aligned with the right people, in the right job, bringing our skill sets and our talents, our resources to the forefront, using them best to our abilities, and whether or not we're actually on the right path for the future dream, for the future vision that we're actually looking to manifest. So after this magical interaction between Venus and Neptune, this totally shifts our perception and it shifts our emotion, our vibration, our frequency. This is a shift in our thoughts, in our feelings. This is where we kind of boss up and say, didn't really like the way that the day started. I am, consciously aware that I am manifesting my reality based off of what it is that I am pouring my attention into. And right now, I'm going to choose to pour it into all the good vibes that I have the 100% control of each and every single moment of stepping into. We get a little bit of help here because the sun in Libra trines Saturn, who is retrograde in Aquarius. The sun in Libra wants us using our physical energy, using our life force, using our will and our determination to find balance, to find love, to find peace and harmony in every single aspect of our lives. And of course, we've been illuminated to the extremes that we have been living in, where all of those things are not in our daily lives as of yet. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, showing us some tough love life lessons in the past, pulling out those silver linings so that we can use that as a catalyst, as the motivation to get a grip, to get an emotional grip, to get a mental grip, to balance the scales between our heart and our head. We realize at this particular point in the day that, it has been a couple of bumpy days. And for many of us, you could say days, weeks, months, even years. But if you have not learned your life lesson, you will continue to repeat and recycle those particular situations with different people or the same people, depending on your stubbornness, until you learn the lesson. So at this particular point in the day, we're coming out of the funk, we're tapping into the magic. We are revamping, renovating, restructuring our thoughts, our feelings, and now we have what it takes in order to shift the scales back into balance, where we can boss up, where we can recognize our power, where we can get a grip out of our emotions and over our thoughts. The moon is going to help us out just a tad by making a very harmonious aspect with Jupiter. You may remember we started the day off with a not so nice interaction between these two, where Jupiter turned the volume up on our insecurities, on our shortcomings, on our doubts. This particular interaction, now that we've changed the game, the vibration and the frequency of our energy, of our attention, of our vibration, now we're getting a huge pep talk from Jupiter. Jupiter, again, just wants us to grow. And guess what? We've done some growth here today. He just wants us to expand our minds, our heart space, our possibilities, our perspective. He wants to renew our optimism, our confidence, our faith within ourselves. The moon in Cancer, when standing in the light, when standing in the positive aspects, is super nurturing, is super protective, does take care of other people, does enforce boundaries, does recognize where old attachments are preventing blocks from actually moving forward. So this particular interaction is kind of validating for us that, we have more power and control over our thoughts and over our emotions than we actually give ourselves credit for, which means that we have the ability to shift our perception of our realities in a split second if we choose to. The moon goes ahead and bumps into the true node. This is a semi-square, so there's a little bit of tension here. But basically, the true node just wants to remind us of what all this energy and effort is building towards. And of course, that is the dream. That is the vision that we're looking to manifest. That is the path forward to our soul's most authentic and powerful expression of experience. And now we have to rework a couple of things. We have to recognize, earlier on in the day, where it is that we woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and it could have been disastrous if we didn't boss up and take control over our thoughts and our feelings. But B, we're in a retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. The major heavy hitting planets are a retrograde. We're all about reflection. We're all about revision. We're all about having to rework our past thoughts, our past emotions, our past memories, our past experiences, to build them into a script that empowers us instead of sucks the power away from us. So the moon bumping into the true node right now is kind of like a checkpoint. Like, hey, okay, no, you did good. You did grow. You did expand your mind. You did expand your emotions here, but we're not given permission to go ahead and take action to make things happen. We're not physically moving down the path towards enlightenment right now. What we're doing is we're doing the inner work necessary in order to prepare us for when the universe gives us a green light go. So we are going to kind of tap off the day with a little bit of a refresher, a little bit of a reminder of what it is that we are constantly trying to do by processing these deeper thoughts, these deeper emotions that aren't so pleasant, that aren't so comfortable, and what it is that we are going to be rewarded with when we're successful. Not if, but when.